I think their best advantage the G2 will have is drafts, I think. I think G2's drafting was, as much as I don't like Estriel, Pike, Graves, these champs, and they didn't want to show much, but they were drafting everything, man. Like, they won their drafting in Nivea. Then they showed they can play Wukong jungle. Then they played a Yasuo Diana comp with a Vladimir top with Senna comp. Then they played Nidalee with tank top with TF. Then they played standard shit against EG. I think they're trying a bit more in draft. And then they played this Sion AD carry, Sejuani Gwen mid, right? A lot of that probably doesn't translate across to the group stage, but RNG didn't show much either. I think the beauty of the group stage, as much as it sucks for viewers to see all these teams just stomp all the minor regions, I'm guessing T1, RNG, and G2 are all just scrimming each other. I could be wrong, but they're probably all scrimming each other, which is really good because they probably had 2 or 3 weeks to scrim each other. I wonder if there's any LCK teams scrimming or CK teams like that are scrimming to jump in with T1 or G2 or RNG. I presume there are. Maybe some LCK teams. I know that there's some Western teams there as well. C9's going. BDS is there. XL is there. But I don't know how much these teams are scrimming these teams. Probably not much at all. FlyQuest is there. Okay, I'm going to say it. I'm going to say it right now. As much as I'm part of XL and they went on their bootcamp, my honest opinion, I personally think the Korean bootcamp is kind of useless. I think the only reason Korean bootcamp is good is because of the solo queue right now. I think the scrim practice is useless. In terms of a business standpoint, to spend that much money, or however much it is, to send all your players there, pay for all the logistics and stuff like this, it's not that good to go on a Korean bootcamp. Because for one, I think my whole logic is flawed if you can scrim these 3 teams. If you can scrim these 3 teams, it's probably maybe worth in the long run. The biggest reason is because 12-10 changes are going to be so big, in my opinion, that the game is going to change completely. So that everything you learned as a team is probably going to have to be reevaluated on the spot. I think the only thing you can learn in a Korean bootcamp is mechanics. And that's why I think that the only reason going on a Korean bootcamp is good is for solo queue. And if that's what they go for, sure. Solo queue will help. You'll get better at the game mechanics. Will you get better as a team in scrimming? X for doubt, in my opinion. Just because of this change that's coming. If there was no big patch here, and it was going to be a similar patch to summer, then I would get a Korean bootcamp. Like last year, I remember the jungle meta at MSI was like Rumble, Morgana, Lilia. And going into a Korean bootcamp there, and then going into summer, the meta was kind of similar, right? The game didn't change that much. The meta was similar-ish in the first 2 to 3 weeks. But I think Korean bootcamp is a bit of a meme to get better as a team when this patch is going to hit. If I was part of like a team or something, I would say, yeah, we can go. But I would just say, spend all day playing solo queue. Take it and enjoy yourselves in Korea. And try to learn from watching other teams to learn actual macro and things like this. Or just playing solo queue, to be honest. Because I think scrims... If anything, what I've heard from a lot of players, the last thing on this topic, I've spoken to so many players about like title winning and stuff like this and why they win titles and the reasons they win. The biggest factor in EU, at least, for winning summer split is mental. Everyone tells me mental diff is everything in summer. And if you're doing a Korean bootcamp 3 weeks and then coming back a week before summer starts and then you're throwing them back into a summer split, then mental is tough. Mental is pretty tough if you're going for a lot longer, right? It's all about mental. Like, it doesn't matter. I think sometimes in playoffs, you'll see teams break, right? The best example of that is Fnatic. And as much as you might not want to believe it, it looked like Fnatic just kind of broke after that Rogue game, like the Rogue series. You need to have like a really strong mental to win summer split, especially. Spring split's okay because you're only there for, you only known each other for like 3 or 4 or 5 months maybe. But summer after like 9 months, if you're always together, always scrimming, always being able to point fingers, it's just makes life a lot harder, right? And also, the final thing I'll say, the best thing about all of this combined, you don't know the funniest thing I heard about all of this? So I remember, I'll never forget this. In 2019, we as XL, we scrimmed for 3 weeks before we went to Berlin. We did a 3-week scrims in December. And then we came to, and we were winning these scrims. We were scrimming like Origin, Schalke, these teams, and we were going really well. We were doing really well in scrims, and everyone was like full of confidence. We came to 2020 spring, 2 weeks before the split started, and we spoke to a top team. I don't know if it was G2 or Fnatic or someone. And I was talking to one of the people on the team, and I said, how have your guys' scrims been going? And they said, oh, we just started last week, and we'd already been scrimming for 2 or 3 weeks. And then I realized, like, wait, we've been scrimming for 2 or 3 weeks, and all we've done is gotten better as a team in early spring to make it so their practice against us is better, so they improve off of us or learn what we found out is meta. Obviously, it's good for us to scrim because we probably had a lot more problems to fix, but all the top teams, they just say, well, we'll just learn from what the bottom teams have been playing in terms of meta, or they will just get better, so our practice is better, so why should we start earlier? It's like, thanks for the leash, you know? So all these factors combined is why I think the Korean bootcamp is bad. That's the top team privilege. It's true. I remember them saying something like, oh, that's cool, so what's meta? What have you been playing? Like, because if you don't, we're just going to see what you're playing, and then I guess you're going to be better practice for us, so that's good. I was just like, wait, just hit me like a fucking light bulb. I was like, wait, they're just fucking milking us. And if you don't improve in those 3 weeks, well, you just fucking suck then, don't you? And if the worst part is scrimming for 3 or 4 weeks before the split starts, going to the split, scrimming the top teams before the split starts, and then getting clapped, and then saying like, well, it was all a fucking waste of time. There's my Korean solo queue bootcamp rant.